Hello everyone, my name is Olad and I'm here to present my research paper for csit 437, and my topic for today is web accessibility, building an inclusive digital future. And back to my introduction, I'll be telling you about what web accessibility is. In our increasingly digital first world, web accessibility refers to the comprehensive practice of designing and developing websites and web applications that are usable by people of all abilities and disabilities. And this encompasses individuals with visual impairments, including blindness, low vision, and color blindness, auditory disabilities, deafness and hearing loss, motor impairment, limited fine motor control, muscle slowness, and loss of limb control, and cognitive disabilities, learning disabilities, distractibility, and memory difficulty. The significance of accessible websites extend far beyond moral obligation, encompassing legal compliance, business strategy, and social responsibility. If you will ask me, I would say most of the web services or websites or web apps of software development or whatever you call it, I have not really seen any inclusiveness when it comes to like other disability and other people with abilities, other people who are disabled, other people who encompass individuals with visual impairment, auditory disability, you know um motor impairments. I hardly see any. I don't think most people who are creating the web applications or web services today, they don't factor people with disability. Back to my slide. So why web accessibility is essential. One, for universal benefits. Two, for broader audience, low bandwidth users, mobile users, older adults. SEO advantages, semantic HTML, descriptive content improves search rankings. Technical excellence is another one. Cleaner code, better performance, improve core web virtuals. Business impact also. Target corporations, 10% increase in online sales after accessibility improvement. Global market, 400 billion annual spending power in US disability markets alone. Can you see that? Just 400 billion annual spending power in US disability market alone. That's when it comes to the business impact. That is something you might want to consider. Like, this is like a big market for people who are out there who are willing to you know go into this aspect. And I will continue by talking about okay, my next slide. Why web accessibility matters. Why web accessibility matters. You will ask yourself, like, why does web accessibility matters? Number one is it ensures equal access to information. Being we reside in America, where one core value we all hold is inclusiveness, equal opportunity for all. When you talk about the constitutional right, the freedom of speech, freedom of movement, so why web accessibility matters is because number one is it ensures equal access to information. It also improve also usability for all users. It also reduces the risks, the legal risks, and increases market reach. It increases market reach. And back to my next slide. What are some key standards and guidelines? We have Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which is called, should short form for WCAG, Section 508 USEN 301-549 EU. Principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, robust. Just in case you are looking to to build like a web service, or to infrastructure a web service, these are some of the key standard and guidelines that backs, people with disability, in case you just want to work on it. Accessibility tools and technology. Some of the accessibility tools you might want to consider in your library, your software, your hardware, screen readers, alt text, keyboard navigation. Number two is color construct tools, semantic HTML, and automated testing tools. Especially in the rise of AI, I think this is going to come in handy, because you want everything to be not everything actually, but basically at least a few of the functionality to be automated, because that will reduce the stress of having to navigate through web services for people who are less privileged. Legal and ethical impact, compliance with ADA, which is American Disability, Disability Affairs, Section 508. Avoid lawsuits, demonstrate social responsibility, and the third one is improve public image and trust. Developer challenges. Some of the challenges you might face as a developer is lack of training or awareness. Lack of training or awareness. That is something you might face. Lack of training or awareness. The knowledge gap is something that is broad. Survey data from Stack Overflow indicates that only 28% of developers consider themselves knowledgeable about accessibility requirements. Only 23% of developers. That is wild. This knowledge gap stems from insufficient coverage in computer science curricula and bootcamp programs, where accessibility is often treated as an advanced topic rather than a fundamental skill. Number two is over prioritization of aesthetics. We focus more on the design, we focus more on, oh, let's make it look better, let's make it look so clean, let's make it look beautiful. We focus more on the aesthetics, and we forget about the functionality of what we are building. And the third one is time and budget constraint, because it's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of budget, because you're going to be doing a lot of surveys, reaching out to people who are disabled, per se, who have visual impairments, motor impairments, other impairments, other disability. And you need to take surveys, back and back, because imagine you're trying to create like a web app for someone who has an impaired vision. That's something you might want to, that's going to take a lot of time, because you have to understand what the users face. It's not about, because most of the times I see that most of the people, most of the founders, they create that issue based on what they think is good for them. They don't look at what is good for other people around them, if that makes sense. Next to the slide, propose solution. I propose accessibility check in CI and CD pipelines, integrated linter in frameworks, which is React and Angular. Accessibility first development mindset. Let's have that mindset that, oh, let's consider everybody. Reflection and insight. Accessibility is not optional, it's essential. It's not something that we would say, oh, let's think about it. It's not something we are just going to put on the side and just want to consider it maybe later. It is something that is essential. It is something that should be in the plan, because at the end of the day, we want to include people. Inclusive design benefits all users. Let the design benefits all users. It doesn't matter where they are from, it doesn't matter what they are doing, it doesn't matter who they are. Let it benefit everyone. And the third one is advocate and implement accessibility from the start. Every founders, every startups, let them advocate this, let them have this at the beginning of their early stage. These are some references, just in case you might want to be looking at what I'm doing. So thank you so much again, and hope to see you again. Bye.